With Thanksgiving around the corner, people are thinking about spending time with their family and food. Mostly food. So it's as good a time as any to talk about games where characters get eaten. I'm probably going to get stoned to death for making this video. What do franchises like Kirby, Yoshi, and Pac-Man have in common? All of them have the main playable character eating their enemies for one reason or another, and these franchises have a decent amount of fans that like their games despite the fact that their concepts are kinda messed up. I won't lie, I don't really spend a whole lot of time thinking about it, and I highly doubt a lot of other players do either. If you do, there's probably something wrong with you. I could discuss this idea further and give more details on how it works, or at least guess how it works, but I'd rather avoid disturbing anyone, especially me. Anyways, these concepts are important to the characters and their gameplay since they contribute to what you can do with them, which I'll cover further when I go over each franchise. To start things off, I'll talk about Yoshi. Yoshi's first platforming game came out on the Super Nintendo in the mid-90s and is also the sequel to Super Mario World, for marketing purposes. Apparently, Nintendo thought nobody would buy the game unless they slapped Super Mario World on the title. You wanted a Super Mario World 2, right? Well, here it is, except you don't play as Mario and it has nothing to do with the original. Okay, so maybe saying that it has nothing to do with the original is a bit of an exaggeration. Both have Yoshis, both have Mario, but this one has him as a baby. The game begins with a stork delivering a newborn Mario and a newborn Luigi because apparently sex isn't canon in the Mario universe. Well, something happens and the stork loses the babies. One of them was kidnapped and the other kinda fell down to an island, inhabited by Yoshis. Okay, there's no way baby Mario would have survived that fall. He and that Yoshi should both be dead and blood should be all over the place. Anyways, that Yoshi decides to work together with his friends to help baby Mario and save his brother. Each level will have you playing as a different Yoshi, and at the end, the baby will be passed on to the next one. If you run into enemies, you'll lose baby Mario. How the hell did he even end up in a bubble? When you lose Mario, he'll be floating around in that bubble and a timer will start counting down. By default, you have 10 seconds, and when you get Mario back, the count will return to 10. Unless you had more than that. Then it won't do anything. You can increase the amount of time on the countdown by collecting stars, which you can get by throwing eggs at these floating cloud things. You can get other items from hitting them with eggs too. Where do you get the eggs though? By having Yoshi swallow enemies. After Yoshi eats one of them, they'll poop out an egg which you can throw. I don't even want to imagine the process of something or someone passing through a Yoshi. Are they even alive when in the egg? Super Smash Bros. Would imply they are, which is even more f***ed up since it implies that Yoshi is throwing enemies into walls, probably bashing their skulls open, completely f***ing them up. Okay, I'm done here. Other items you can find in the levels with or without eggs are red coins and flowers. There are 20 red coins and 5 flowers in each level. Collecting all the collectibles in a level increases your score. The most points you can get is 100. Each red coin is worth 1, each flower is worth 10, and by getting the timer up to 30, it's how you get the rest of the points, which you can lose when you get hurt. Earning enough points in enough levels will unlock bonus levels that can be insanely difficult. They're much easier to unlock in the Game Boy Advance remake, which gives each world an additional level as a game completion bonus. Throughout the levels, there are parts where Yoshi will transform into something like a helicopter. These segments don't last way too long, but it's best to explore as much as you can while your Yoshi is in this state. Getting enough items by the end of the level increases your chance of playing a bonus minigame, which can earn you lives and items. You can even find entrances to minigames in the levels hidden behind locked doors, which have you competing against a bandit. Every few levels will end with a boss fight instead. Some of them are honestly pretty weird. Yoshi would see plenty more games in the future. On the Nintendo 64 wasn't exactly a sequel, but it was still very enjoyable. Yoshi's Story. Basically the same thing, but at the same time, not really. The big difference is that Baby Mario is gone and it now goes by a health system. To get to the end of the level, Yoshi has to eat 30 fruits. You'll get a higher score if you eat only one type, especially if it happens to be your Yoshi's favorite fruit, which is randomly selected before you start a level. Unlike Yoshi's Island, you can actually select what color you want to play as, rather than just play as whatever the game wants you to. You can even unlock some more colors as you go. Instead of following the traditional linear completing this level unlocks the next format, you're given the option to choose from 4 different levels. The levels are divided into 6 parts or chapters, as this is supposed to take place in a storybook. The options you have to choose for levels and later chapters completely depend on your actions in the previous levels. You want all the levels available on the next page? Well, it depends on how many hearts you found in the previous level. If you find them all, you'll have 4 choices, and if you don't find any, you'll just find 1. Because the goal in each level is eating fruit, there is no goal point, and instead a way to loop back to the beginning of a stage so you can find areas you missed. Pages 3 and 6 are a bit different though. As soon as you eat enough fruit in any of those levels, you're taken to a boss fight, and the boss you're fighting depends on what level you chose to play on. Both of these Yoshi games are great games in my opinion. I still go back to both of them. But what about Yoshi's other games? Well, I'm afraid there's not much to say. Yoshi's Island did eventually get a direct sequel on the DS, which I've never played. And then there's a third Yoshi's Island game, which has one of the worst video game soundtracks of all time. As far as gameplay itself goes, it's pretty much the same as the original Yoshi's Island, and full of gimmicks that take advantage of the 3DS. I never spent a whole lot of time with it because I had a real hard time getting into it. So yeah, the earlier Yoshi games are better. Maybe the games would be better if he wasn't evading taxes. But you know who does do his taxes? Kirby. By this point, who hasn't heard of Kirby? I mean, he was created by the creator of a certain well-known crossover with Nintendo characters. I don't know, maybe you've heard of it. Kirby's first game was created with the intention of getting new gamers into gaming. Kirby's Dream Land is in no way a hard game unless you count the hard mode, but that's only for people that like getting punched in the balls so hard they can no longer stand up. Also, Kirby used to be white. In America. To be fair, Nintendo of America wasn't sure what color Kirby was since the creator of Kirby and the creator of Mario were arguing over what color he should be. Masahiro Sakurai, Kirby's creator, wanted him to be pink, and Mario's creator, Shigeru Miyamoto, wanted him to be yellow. Nintendo of America just said f*** it and made him white. But I have to ask, why white? I know that Game Boy games are in black and white, but if you play a game on an original Game Boy, it's black and green. Why didn't they go with green? In the end, it's not like it matters because we actually get to see a pink Kirby in later games. Other colors of him do show up too, including yellow. The gameplay is simple. You go from the beginning and go all the way to the goal, occasionally fighting a boss. On your way to the goal, Kirby can suck enemies in and spit them out. That's all he can do in this game. Swallowing them doesn't actually do anything. This game is pretty short, there are only 5 levels, and the last one is just a collection of boss fights building up to a final battle. By the time the next Kirby game, Kirby's Adventure, came out, it would actually be in color so we could actually see what color he was supposed to be. This time around there are more levels and the gameplay was changed up a bit. Rather than just going from one level to the next, you get this hub world that you open up more with the more levels you complete. Entering different doors will take you to different stages and at times mini-games. The one major difference between this game's gameplay and the previous games is what would become a core mechanic of the franchise, and that is the ability to gain enemy abilities. Now when Kirby sucks in an enemy, he can get a power from swallowing them, but it doesn't work with every enemy. Some won't do anything, and there are even some of what I'm calling trap powers, which have a negative effect on him, particularly the sleep ability, which just puts Kirby to sleep. This mechanic doesn't get expanded on a whole lot, but it's nice to see when it does happen. In the Nintendo 64 game, you can actually combine different power-ups, or combine 2 of the same and just get a different version of that power-up. Honestly, it'd be nice to see power combinations return someday. Those 2 franchises I just talked about have eating enemies as a part of the main gameplay, and you actually have to do it if you even want to make it through the games. In the next franchise I'll talk about, it isn't really necessary to do so, but it's highly recommended. Pac-Man was a popular arcade game, years ago or something. I don't know, I didn't even exist when it first came out. But people liked it enough for it to see so many ports over the years, it seems. And for the most part, that's all I've played. There's also the reskin version, Ms. Pac-Man, which I have actually played in an arcade machine, but that was so many years ago. Both games play exactly the same. So what I say about Pac-Man applies to Ms. Pac-Man. You start off in a maze taking control of Pac-Man, and your goal is to eat all the pellets, or Pac-Dots according to the wiki, without getting hit by a ghost. You lose a life and you're sent back to the area you started at, but the good news is you don't need to collect pellets you've already collected. There are also fruits that appear which are just a way to increase your score. To fight back against the ghosts getting in your way, there are bigger pellets. When you touch them, the ghosts all change color, and instead of chasing after you, they run away. If you eat one of them, they will be sent back to where they spawn and return to normal and go after you again. That will last until you get another one of those bigger pellets. If none of them are left, good luck I guess. It's an arcade game, so it's pretty much the same thing every level. Collect pellets and avoid ghosts. The maze designs do change, but you can easily get tired of doing the exact same thing for too long. Of course, this isn't the only Pac-Man game. There's a direct sequel that's just a really bad point-and-click adventure game. Why? And that's what these games are like. Isn't it interesting how we like games like this, even though they're pretty messed up when you think about them? And it's not just these games that involve characters getting eaten. Lots of games we've played have scenes like that. But do we really spend that much time thinking about that? I sure as hell hope you don't. Honestly, I have no idea why I decided to talk about this. All I know for sure is I'm going to hell when I die!